Good evening. Hello, New York.
From the emotional ending of John Wick Chapter 4 to Keanu Reeves' next big releases, here's how Keanu Reeves reveals a big John Wick rumor. If you're an action movie fan, you've likely devoured all of the movies in the John Wick franchise by now, including the most recent epic, John Wick Chapter 4. And if you saw that wrenching ending, you may be wondering if it's really the last of the series, or if the originally announced John Wick Chapter 5 might really be a go. Rumors have been swirling around that John Wick 4 may be the end of the franchise, which is understandable since, spoiler alert, the character of legendary assassin John Wick, also known as the terrifying Baba Yaga, appears to die at the end of Chapter 4. But fans shouldn't give up yet. It's been said by people at the top that the ending could be open to multiple interpretations. Could it be possible to bring back John Wick? First, let me give you a little background on the Wick saga, the behind-the-scenes saga, that is. Originally, it had been announced that John Wick 4 and John Wick 5 would be filming back-to-back. But once production got going, longtime collaborators Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves, who are the driving forces behind the series, realized that, due to their high-intensity filming style, doing two movies at once would be way too strenuous for the cast and crew. So, once the ending of Chapter 4 was definitive, they decided to end the series there. And not only were they thinking about everyone's health, they were also concerned about how a fourth and fifth movie shot together might lose impact because they'd look too similar. Director Stahelski said, "So what you do is you'd see John Wick 4 and John Wick 4 Part B, same camera, same colors, same action, same style of choreography, same storylines. I had no time to be influenced by life and bring life back in, so I just thought it was kind of a cheat." Of course, it's all about the story. And that played into their decision too, with Chad, Keanu, and the writer team realizing that the story, or John Wick, would be mostly emotionally successful if they wrapped it up with the fourth installment. Stahelski said, "We decided we wanted to tie everything together, and we were like, how do you give a proper goodbye? So that's how we sold it to the studio because, at some point, this has got to end, man." The studio, Lionsgate, was apparently not happy with the decision initially, and a scene was shot to imply that John Wick survives at the end of the movie. But Stahelski and Reeves were pretty sure it was the end of Wick. And after some test screenings, they knew they'd made the right decision. Keanu said the whole point of the film was for him to get his freedom in a way. That was the reason to tell the story. But hold on, because Keanu has also hinted that how it ends all depends on the audience's reactions and how much the fans love it. And so the possibility of Chapter 5 is back on the table after an absolutely massive opening weekend. John Wick Chapter 4 totally smashed open with $73.8 million at the domestic box office and $67.6 million in 71 markets overseas. This is a record so far for the franchise. So with those phenomenal numbers, it just makes sense to make more Wick. And it's possible that the story could be reworked to create further movies. One rumor circulating is that it could possibly reappear in prequel form, with Keanu Reeves playing a much younger John Wick. According to Lionsgate president Joe Drake, there's a will and there's an openness, and you could certainly interpret that ending in different ways. We're all going to take a tiny rest here, and then scratch at ideas about whether there's a credible way to get into 5, but there's no guarantee. Okay, so that's not a no. So ultimately, I can't tell you for sure that there will be a John Wick Chapter 5. But in the meantime, let's look a little more closely at Keanu Reeves and his career up to this point. Because, let's be real, who doesn't love looking at Keanu? So that incredible opening weekend was the second best opening for Keanu behind Matrix Reloaded, which opened at $91.8 million domestically in 2003. 20 years ago. That was his second best live-action box office opening, that is, because as a voice actor in Toy Story 4, Keanu had a $121 million opening weekend in 2019. Reportedly, he was paid $15 million for John Wick 4. But what was crazy, aside from the crazy action, was that Keanu spoke a total of 380 words in the whole movie. Keanu's longest speech in John Wick 4 is this one line.
You and I left a good life behind a long time ago, my
my friend.
Which means that sentence paid $552,622. But that's not to say he didn't work really hard for that salary. Keanu said this movie has the most action of any of the films, which is saying a lot. And it's more by a good margin. John Wick Chapter 4 was the hardest physical role I've ever had in my career so far. They trained extensively for 3 months on this film, with Keanu honing some of the skills learned for the previous films, like stunt driving. He said, "We took car driving to the next level, which I really enjoy." And he was often doing that insane driving while reloading and firing his prop gun. He also trained with some new weapons, like nunchucks, which he said, in his usual humble way, was challenging. And that's not to mention working with animals, including horses, and having to do fight scenes under gallons of lashing rain. Keanu was also involved in every moment of pre-production. He and director Chad Stahelski supervised 9-hour writing sessions with screenwriters Michael Finch, Shay Hatton, and Derek Kolstad, where he acted out all the parts to keep the momentum going. The director and actor have been constant collaborators since Chad was Keanu's stunt double in the Matrix movies. They have very similar tastes, like their shared love of samurai films, Sergio Leone westerns, and other powerful stories with powerful characters, which has led them to create so many amazing hits again and again. So that brings me back to the John Wick franchise. The John Wick character will be appearing again, even without a 5th installment, but this won't be his movie. The franchise's first spin-off film is called Ballerina, starring Ana de Armas in the lead as an assassin, and Ballerina looking for revenge after her family is murdered by hitmen. It's currently listed as being in post-production and is scheduled for summer 2024 release. There will be more John Wick spin-offs too. Also of note, any future John Wick movies sadly won't include the much-beloved actor Lance Reddick, who passed away in March of this year. However, he will still appear in Ballerina, which was filmed previously. As for Keanu, in addition to Ballerina and The Continental, you can expect him to be very busy working on a truckload of incredible new projects, so keep your eyes peeled. First of all, there's the potential sequel to Constantine, Constantine 2, from Warner Bros. Discovery and DC Entertainment, and directed by Francis Lawrence. Though there have been rumors that it might not actually go ahead due to the recent shakeup at DC, Keanu recently said he's in talks with DC Studios, and the movie is still in development. And finally, Keanu recently revealed on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon that there's gonna be a movie version of the Berserker comic books, which Keanu actually created and wrote. Honestly, I can't wait to check out any and all of those things. I don't know about you, but I'll be waiting excitedly. And in the meantime, from Keanu's next big releases to John Wick 4's emotional ending, that was Keanu Reeves reveals big John Wick rumor.